What is going on, everybody? And welcome back to the KellyCast. Happy 2024, Mike.
How'd I get here?
This is your house.
It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been on with you guys. Of course, you and Mitch did a pre-draft video, so hopefully everybody out there tonight that's on has watched that.
Well, Mitch will be in here shortly. You know, he's always here. Our first ever honorary Kelly, our winner of the KellyCast Prediction Championship. I gave him the belt, by the way. He took it home with him. It's on his dresser. I asked him not to sleep with it naked. I cannot confirm nor deny if he has or has not. Maybe he'll confirm for us.
We'll make sure we get lots of sanitation supplies before we receive that belt back.
But welcome back, guys. Mike and Dan Kelly here. If you're new to the channel, welcome. This is where myself and Mike talk about the latest in the NFL, the latest with the Buffalo Bills. If you can't tell, we are Buffalo Bills fans. But today, we are here to talk about free agency, Bills signings, non-Bills signings, Derrick Henry and this massive jersey, and everything in between. Michael, let's start off with the newest bit of information that I've seen, which was, of course, the Buffalo Bills signing wide receiver Curtis Samuel to a 3-year, I believe it was a $24 million deal. What do you think about Samuel coming over to Buffalo, Mike?
I think it's a nice upgrade. He's a legitimate number 2, or can be a legitimate number 2. So I think that's and for $3 million less than Gabe. So he drops a lot less balls than Gabe does. So I think it's a smart move on their part to, work within their means and get somebody that's pretty decent.
Well, it's a lot less than Gabe, Mike. Remember, Gabe signed 3 years, $39 million with a max of $50. Curtis is a max of 30 with 15 guaranteed. So
I thought I read somewhere that it was like 33 million.
Yeah, no, Gabe
like that.
Gabe got a pretty decent deal from Jacksonville.
13 million a year is what I was referring to. So 10 million a year for Samuel.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean,
3 million less.
The other thing you have to know about Curtis Samuel, if you don't follow the NFL as a whole, is that his best year in the NFL came under Joe Brady when he was with the Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
So there's some familiarity there, and he's never had a quarterback, Mike. Going from the Carolina Panthers to the Washington Commanders between 2017 and 2023, there's not been a really good signal caller back there, right? So his best year was in 2020 when he caught 77 passes for 851 yards, scored 3 touchdowns. Never been a big touchdown merchant, but this guy is deadly with the football in his hands. I think it's a very good signing. I think it's the biggest move you're going to see from the Buffalo Bills in this free agency. Let's get off the Bills for a second, Mike. Go to the biggest quarterback signing of this offseason. And how about it? Kirk Cousins signs a 4-year deal with the Atlanta Falcons. Massive numbers. Now, Mike, you've been watching football 30-something years, let's say, at least 20. After this contract is up, if he plays this contract through, Kirk Cousins will have made the most money ever by any singular player in the NFL in terms of career earnings. What do you think?
That guy just has a way of getting massive contracts, and good for him. And I really don't feel he was worth the massive contract that he got, but he's a damn solid quarterback. I think it's a solid pickup for Atlanta. I think that he can take them to the playoffs. I mean,
100%. In the NFC South? Yes.
1,000%.
Is the contract too big? Yes. It is, but if you're the Atlanta Falcons and you've been starved for a quarterback ever since Matt Ryan's decline, this is what you got to do. 4 years, $180 million with a $50 million signing bonus. The cap hits only go up, Mike. Look at these: $40 million, $57.5 million in 2026. Massive contract for Kirk Cousins, but this team is really good. Like around him, you look at those weapons that they have. Just traded Desmond Ridder away today for Rondale Moore from Arizona. They have Drake London, who had a really, really good year last year, Mike. Nobody's paid attention to that. And then they got rid of the guy who was taking away Kyle Pitt's targets, that being Jonnu Smith, who signed with the Miami Dolphins. Atlanta is a legit contender there for the number 1 spot in the South.
Plus Kirk's a perfect guy to learn under for their rookie
Ritter.
quarterback. So
Yeah. I mean, it's a really
now
good,
second year.
Yeah, it's a really good move for the Falcons in doing it. It hurts the Minnesota Vikings, not to mention the guy they replaced him with, Mike, Sam Darnold.
That's
I don't think that's
I
going
don't
to work.
know how he keeps getting jobs, and
I don't know how he keeps getting chances
Colin
either, Mike.
Kaepernick is still sitting on the bench.
Colin
I'm
Kaepernick
just
deserves to sit on the bench.
I
You always like to
only-
mention Kaepernick.
I mentioned him on purpose just because I knew it would bother you.
Oh, my goodness. All right. You want to talk about bothering me? Let's talk a little bit about the number 2 in Buffalo. Mitchell Trubisky was re-signed by the Bills. Hello,
Yes, he
Mitch.
was.
I do see your message. I thought this was the perfect time to shout you out because we're talking about Mitch. We're talking to Mitch, and it's
Yeah.
fun. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about bringing back Mitch Trubisky. Is the contract a little bit big? Maybe. Maybe it's a little hefty.
Probably a little more than I'd like to spend, but his year here in Buffalo, he proved that this is the system for him.
Mhm.
He went to the Steelers after us, got himself a nice decent contract, and then crapped the bed. So
Well, they didn't really give him much of a chance. They obviously drafted Pickett that year. Trubisky, I think he thought his time in Pittsburgh was going to be different.
But he was meant to be a bridge quarterback, and they never gave it to him. They
I feel
wanted
like
Pickett.
he wanted at least a year. I feel like to see what he could do, but it wasn't given to him. At the end of the day, the cap hit this year, $2 million, goes up a little bit next year. We'll have to see, if he sticks around. But I don't understand the hate behind this move, Mike, because Kyle Allen sucked. Let's just be real. Kyle Allen sucked.
Yeah.
Thank goodness we didn't have to see him in a game. But if we did, I don't even want to know what would have happened. I think with Mitchell Trubisky, you're giving yourself a little bit of a better chance to fight in a game. Can you read that last comment from Mitch that we got?
Oh, he
can't see
said great name.
Okay, great
said
name.
great name, so.
Fantastic. Now, Mitch, if you missed it, we were asking whether or not you slept with the championship belt in your bed without any clothes on.
In the good old birthday suit there, Mitch.
Yeah, we're just curious, Let's talk about a couple other quarterbacks here. We touched on Darnold. We touched on Cousins. How about your favorite quarterback, Mike?
Oh my God.
Russell Wilson is being paid this year by the Denver Broncos. I believe it's $38 million. It's 85 in dead cap. I think it's 38 this year. He signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers on a $1.2 million contract. Now, do you know why he signed on such a low contract? Because what happens, Mike, is because he was released and there was dead cap associated with it. Whatever the Steelers paid, it means the Broncos didn't have to pay that.
Oh
Like,
yeah, he
it
took
kinda
it. He
takes
took
it
it to
away.
stick it to him.
So he took that $1.2 million to kind of say, hey,
to stick it to him, to put it nicely, without cussing on
Exactly.
live, just to stick it to him. And you know what? I think it's hilarious. And as much as I bagged on Russell Wilson all year because he didn't meet my eye test, so maybe I got bad eyes. I am getting old. I'm gonna be 40 this year.
I told you he is still Russell Wilson. Like, yes,
he
might.
had so Skip Bayless, my favorite guy
Mhm.
that goofs up all the time because I emulate him clearly on this show.
Cowboys fan.
And he's a Cowboys fan. Go figure.
Did you see the
So-
tweet? Did you see the tweet the other day?
Which one? Which one?
Skip Bayless put out a tweet. I think it was either it was yesterday, I think, at some point during the free agency list here when the Cowboys weren't doing anything, because the Cowboys only have 3 official signings right now. And he put out a post on Twitter. Now, Twitter, since Elon Musk has gotten it, has gone all kinds of wrong, Mike. It's basically OnlyFans. That's what Twitter is nowadays.
Yeah,
That's what it is. So he put out a tweet that says, all in, comma, my ass. So a bunch of porn stars quote tweeted him, and Robert Griffin III said, put that comma in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, it's fantastic. But anyways, back to my Skip story. He was showing over the past 2 years, he has a 90 QBR rating.
Okay.
He has 46 touchdowns, and he had like only 19 or 20 interceptions, which is still pretty on the high end. But you know what? Josh had that all of last year.
But
so
remember, when you're talking about 90 QBR, that's out of 158.3. That's not out of 100. So it's not as great as it looks.
I get it's not out of 150. I do understand that aspect, but still, it's not as bad as I thought it was. A 90 is a pretty average quarterback in the league.
I love Mitch and Uncle Mickey's argument right now. I don't listen to you, he said. Your dad wants us to talk about Aaron Rodgers running as vice president. No thanks. I did see this tweet.
We're not political.
Until there's something that happens that confirms or denies it. It's out there. I will tell you again, I saw another tweet, Mike. It said, I can't wait for the Jets injury report where it says Aaron Rodgers out debate.
Waiting for they gave him the day off like they did Bo Jackson for the baseball games.
Yeah, no,
I gotta go around the country, guys. I'll be right back. I don't think so. It's just a joke. Aaron Rodgers is an attention getter. I like Aaron Rodgers. He's
a conspiracy guy, and that's what he is.
I like him. I think he's a great quarterback. I don't buy into his antics. I think it's hilarious. It's amusing. It's entertainment. He's doing his job, I guess, in entertaining us.
Yeah. Couple more signal callers on the move here. Sam Howell traded today from the Commanders to the Seahawks for a 4th and a 6th round pick. Very interesting. Howell, did not have a great year. Obviously, the Washington Commanders hold the number 2 pick.
No, but he kept that team where they were.
Yeah,
in that standing,
and Washington's drafting a quarterback at 2. I can 100% guarantee that they're drafting Drake May at number 2. If Caleb Williams goes 1, it's going to be Drake May at 2.
Dad, it's a joke until he's officially on the ballot, so we'll leave it at that.
Mitch says no political shirt here. No political shirt. Hello, Dora. Where's Boots? Is Diego here as well?
I was just going to ask the same thing.
we appreciate you
Thanks for stopping in.
So from the quarterbacks, Mike, how about we move into the running backs? Now, you remember we spoke last year about the running back market and how they're no longer getting paid. Well, it turns out the NFL just flipped on its head because this year the running backs that wanted their money last year, right? They all got franchise tag, basically. But this year, they're getting bags. And Derrick Henry, the first one, you're wearing his jersey, signs with the Baltimore Ravens. That read option's going to go crazy. Tell me your thoughts when you heard Derrick Henry to the Baltimore Ravens, Mike.
I can't say my official thoughts on here, but unofficial thoughts is exactly what you said. This is going to be freaking crazy. They're going to be a scary monster. They don't need Derrick Henry to be in there 90% of the time like he used to. Mm-hmm. They just need him to be in there to just the threat of Derrick Henry with Lamar is scary enough for anybody. So, I mean, AFC East, AFC West, South, North, all of that, watch out because I feel like that is a huge move and going to bump him up in the rankings a bit this year.
The contract, a little big to me, 2 years, $16 million, including 9 guaranteed. But people want to talk about Derrick Henry falling off, right? And yeah, he's getting old. He's at 30 where running backs go to die. Look at these stats last year. Tell me those are bad. 1,100 yards, averaging 4.2 per carry, 12 touchdowns. He's not quite washed up yet.
That's a good year for any running back, and
but for him, it's a down year. Look at
these. For
15
him, for him, it's definitely he's got a little downhill according to his numbers.
Of course, and he's starting to slow down.
It's gonna happen
at the end of the day,
when you're a bruiser.
He's not done yet. How about we move on to the Green Bay Packers? If Kevin's here, Kevin, say something in the comments so I know you're here. Josh,
he's probably Dora. He's probably Dora.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Josh Jacobs signs with the Green Bay Packers on a massive, massive contract, but it did cost them one of the best Packers in recent memory, really, in Aaron Jones. having to be released. But Josh Jacobs signed a 4-year, $48 million contract with 12.5 signing bonus. What's the guarantees here? 12.5 guaranteed. Okay, not terrible. Good signing. Josh Jacobs had a really bad year last year with the Raiders because the Raiders suck. I don't know though. There's Kevin. He's in here. There he is. Thanks for shouting out. What do we got? Know what happened last year, but you guys should touch on how Green Bay managed to do it 3 times in a row. Will certain games have their best QB in franchise history? What are you referring to, Kevin? I'm a little lost here, so let me know exactly what you mean. Mike, your thoughts on Jacobs going to Green Bay? Was this a surprising move for you?
I don't know if it would be surprising. They definitely showed promise last year, so there's that. So
I mean, you were on the Jordan Love train early,
and
then
was.
you hopped off the Jordan
Love
train,
and then I hopped off,
and then you went back on.
I went back on. I was, I needed to make a pit stop there down in whereverville, and then he brought me back to life, and I thought they were gonna go a lot farther than they did in the playoffs at the end there.
And you weren't mad at them for knocking out your team?
I wasn't, because I am a Jordan Love fan. So I mean,
ooh,
you say
sorry. I see an update here. I don't know if this is true or not, or how recent this is, but this says A.J. Dillon expected to re-sign with the Packers via Tom Pelissero. I have not seen that yet.
Okay.
I knew A.J. Dillon was a free agent, and he didn't have a great year last year once again. But if they get A.J. Dillon back to pair with Josh Jacobs, that could be really good.
Yeah, that competition could be good for each other. And
the other
Jacobs
move they
definitely
made,
needed a new home. So
bringing safety Xavier McKinney in from the New York Giants on a 4-year deal worth $68 million. He got the bag, and they also brought back their returner / cornerback Keyshawn Nixon, who I know a lot of Packers fans were concerned about losing. Comes back to the Packers. It's interesting to see Green Bay make any moves in free agency. It really is, because this team has always been a team for the last 15 years, Mike. They've been a team to build to the draft. They don't care. They don't care about signing other players off of other teams. They're like, you keep them. I don't care. So it's very interesting to see them actually making moves, and good for them, right? Good for the Packers. I think they're in a division where they're clearly the number 2 team there, especially with the Vikings losing Kirk Cousins. What do you think about Justin Jefferson, Mike? Do you think if you were the Minnesota Vikings that you would look into trading him, or is he an asset that, can make Sam Darnold good or can make a young quarterback good?
I don't know.
I'm torn.
I don't know that anybody can make Sam Darnold good.
Okay. What about Jesus?
Well, clearly he was the one who helped make him, I think, if you believe in that kind of stuff. So he failed. He failed in that aspect. I mean, he made a guy who's a very viable backup, but he's not a starter in this league. At this point, it feels like they're gonna do a complete teardown. So I think get your assets for him. You could get at least a number 1 for Justin Jefferson.
At least
minimum,
yeah,
minimum a number 1 and a viable, number 2 that you can squeeze in at number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking at a potential Justin Jefferson trade, first of all, this is possibly the best wide receiver ever. Like, I understand it's still early on in his career, but if he keeps putting up the numbers that he has, he can break Jerry Rice's records. He can break any wide receiver's records. Now, as a team, it's very hard to decipher what that means. Does that mean that as the Vikings, as a team who just lost their quarterback, as a team who still doesn't have a really good defense, that you want to pay him the $40 million a year that he's going to want? Or do you trade him away to another team and watch the man's career just go up another level, up on the echelon, and become legendary? It's a very hard thing, but I think if he gets traded, Mike, it's a number one.
We watched guys like Marshawn Lynch come away from our team and go and be great. So yeah, it's tough from that aspect. But when you're in rebuilding mode, do you Barry Sanders the guy?
Please,
mean,
God, no.
let the guy, if you valued him and what he's done for your team and your city, he's put asses in your seats over the past few years.
Yeah,
so.
but if you can get a haul, which in a Justin Jefferson trade, I'm looking at a first, another early pick, possibly another early pick, maybe the following year, and a player. That's what I'm looking at. If I'm Minnesota, I'm not expecting anything less. We got an argument going on between Mitch and Uncle Mickey in the comments over Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Washington. I think at the end of the day, the Washington Commanders are going to stay put at number 2 for multiple reasons. They understand that they're not good. They know that they're the second worst team in the NFL. They traded away Sam Howell today. They let Curtis Samuel walk. They are in rebuilding mode. They traded away Chase Young. They traded away the other defensive end last season too. They know. So what they're going to do at number 2 is they're going to take a quarterback, whether that be Jaden Daniels, whether that be Drake May, Caleb Williams. I don't care. It's going to be a quarterback. I think they're going to stick at number 2. The reason being, if you move away from number 2, if you move down to 4, 5, 6, 7, he might not be there. He might not be there. There's teams that need quarterbacks, Mike, like the Patriots, who could move up. The Giants, who can move up. And they sit at 6. So your dad says, oh, no one will ever be as good as Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
They say no one will ever be as good as Tom Brady, and look at Patrick Mahomes at this point. Honestly, I hate Patrick Mahomes.
Hate him. Poised to be way better.
He's on pace to tie Tom Brady's records. Kevin says, first comment was referring to how Green Bay mentioned like 3 franchise quarterbacks in a row. Must be something in the water. Yeah, Kev, I mean, we've discussed this as the years have gone on. Green Bay definitely spoiled in the quarterback department.
It's showing that way, but let's give it another year. That was his first starting year. He did well.
Yeah, and let's hope your defense continues to play well and you get some more help at wide receiver, because I'm not a big fan of the wide receiver room in there. Mitch, of course, hyping it up. We will be having another mock draft. I'm gonna try to push Mitch past 10 this time so we can go maybe 15, 20 and get into some of the later guys, but we'll discuss that as time goes on. And Kevin says Williams is going to flop in Chicago. Kev, I think it's early to say that, man. I think I like the moves that Chicago has made in this free agency. In fact, let's discuss some of them here. I know they traded for Ryan Bates from Buffalo. If you have the money, which obviously they do, that's pretty good. DeAndre Swift, a little bit of an expensive deal, I think, at 3 years, $24 million. Gerald Everett, solid tight end. Jalen Johnson, Mike, he got franchise tagged this corner, right? Franchise tagged. Agreed to a 4-year, $76 million contract. He's one of the highest paid corners in the league. Good for him. I did not know that he was that valuable. I'm going to be honest with you, but it's interesting nonetheless. And then 2 safeties, Kevin Byard and Jonathan Owens, coming over to Chicago as well. So I think
you just hate Pat Mahomes. That's okay, Dad. He can and will be as good, if not better.
It's
especially
possible.
athletic. His athletics are out of this world. The guy can sidearm a football through 3 defenders and still get a catch out of the damn thing. I mean, come on.
I saw it was an old tweet, but I saw it last week. It said Mac Jones practicing no-look throws at practice, and somebody commented, maybe he should practice on the looking throws. I love that.
Yes, I agree.
Let's get into the trades that have happened, Mike, because there's been a handful of trades that have happened since the league year began, starting off with the Buffalo Bills trading away Ryan Bates to the Chicago Bears for a 5th-round pick. Buffalo now holds 12 picks in April's draft, and I don't think they're going to make 12 selections. I think at the end of the day, we know what the Bills are up to. How about Jerry Jeudy? Jerry Jeudy going over to the Cleveland Browns. Denver acquires a 5th and a 6th. This is a good move for both teams. Jeudy, not great in Denver.
I was just going to say another guy who just didn't cut it in Denver. Just
young
wasn't
guy,
there.
Still has potential, and Deshaun's still there, so great. Mac Jones, the aforementioned, moves on from the Patriots for a 6th-round pick. From 15th overall to being traded for a 6th-round pick, it just drives me insane. It's like Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is going to be on the Jets this year for one reason and one reason only. His dead cap is the same as his contract. If you release him, you owe him all that money. So I think he's going to stay on the team, but man, what a crazy move. Tampa Bay trades away Carlton Davis and 2 sixes to get a third from Detroit. Detroit had the worst secondary in the league last year. They had to get corner here in free agency, and I think they've signed 3 or 4 of them already. The biggest trade of all, maybe, Brian Burns going from the Carolina Panthers to the New York Giants. Now, Mike, I don't know if you've seen the memes going on about this. The Panthers got offered 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick from the LA Rams for Brian Burns at the trade deadline, either last year or the year before, and they declined it. Yet, when the Giants came calling with a second and a fifth, they were like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And that's what he got traded for. Yes, he was due a massive contract, but at the end of the day, Brian Burns, one of the best young defensive ends in the league. He's only 24, and he's a freaking wrecking crew. We're having an argument here in the comments. I see you guys between Mahomes and Brady. When we say better than Brady, it just means statistically. It just means Super Bowls. It just means playoff wins as a team, all that kind of stuff. He is on pace. I'm not here to argue talent to talent, player to player, guy to guy, because I think at the end of the day, Brady reminds me.
You got two different types of guys too. You got one that was a 6th round pick at the end of the 6th round pick that worked and clawed his way and got his chance out of an injury, and then you had a guy who was fairly touted in Mahomes, and so much so that the Chiefs said, hey, I need to trade up to get this guy.
Yeah.
So
Kevin says, hard disagree with the receiver room in Green Bay. Kev, I think the receiver room gives you a lot of promise, but I still think you need a guy there, man. I'm not convinced with all the young guys. I think young guys are great, and I love when teams get young at certain positions, but I think you still need at least one vet in that room. I think it would really pull it together and give them, if you sign like a Mike Williams, right?
Mm-hmm.
It gives those guys something, okay, this is how the NFL works. This is how I got to take it. When you're feeling down, imagine how much Stephon Diggs helped Gabe Davis in terms of finding his footing in the NFL and things like that. That's where I'm going with that. In terms of the guy, the person, I don't care. Mahomes, Brady, I dislike them both. We all know that. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Let's move on to another running back, Mike, and another conversation I want to get into you with. How about these guys swapping interdivision? I've been on record before. I hate it. Mm-hmm. I hate when you swap interdivision. Poyer to Miami, it hurts. Saran Neal, whatever. I don't really care. I think you were a really good special teams guy. I think you showed promise as a safety. I don't care that you went to Miami. Saquon Barkley to the Philadelphia Eagles, meanwhile. What a move.
Yeah, I seen the memes on that one and said not only are you the most overrated running back ever, but now you're a traitor.
Most overrated running back ever. You have to be kidding me.
I can't disagree with that anymore than you can. So it's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I get it. They're angry, and I would be, because that's not just any rival. That's a huge rival.
But there was a couple more, Mike. So. There was who was it? 2 Ravens. A Raven moved on to Pittsburgh. That was Patrick Queen, the middle linebacker, moved to Pittsburgh. And then Geno Stone went from the Ravens to the Bengals. So these guys are switching teams in these heated divisional rivals.
Maybe that just goes to show you they're not as heated as everyone thinks they are.
Especially those ones in the north.
Because back in the day, if there's players out there that say, screw that, I'll never go to that team. I will go anywhere but that. I'll take less money to not go to that team.
Yeah, I think that's how it used to be for sure. But I think, nowadays it's kind of more of a competitive thing.
It's a business decision at the end of the day. It's a business decision who's going to put more money in my pocket.
Yeah, and there's one more trade I want to get into that I think was huge. And that was Joe Mixon joining the Houston Texans. The Texans did a lot in this free agency to get better. Let me go take a look at them.
The surprise of the AFC South last year.
Yes, they were so good at the end of the day. I didn't expect them to win that playoff game, and they obviously ended up doing it, getting past Cleveland, and yeah, they hit a wall with the Baltimore Ravens. But what a great first year for C.J. Stroud. It's only going to get better.
They had me believing they could take it to the championship.
Yeah, the dark
game.
horse, right?
They had me believing.
But Joe Mixon wasn't the only thing they did. They brought back Dalton Schultz on a 3-year deal. Danico Autry comes over. Tim Settle, formerly of the Bills, joins. Danielle Hunter, huge. They lost Jonathan Grenard. It was basically a trade. It wasn't a trade, but it's basically a trade. Grenard went to Minnesota. Danielle Hunter went to Houston. 2-year, $49 million contract. Danielle Hunter is really good. Also signed Jeff Okudah, a young guy who hasn't worked out yet. Re-signed their kicker. These kickers, Mike, they're getting paid. Look at that money, $15.9 million over 3. It's crazy. I'm glad we got ours locked up.
Golden legs over there.
For sure. Guys, if there's anybody you want us to talk about that we haven't gotten to yet, leave a comment down below, and we will get to them as this show continues. You're talking about Michael Thomas to Green Bay. Then I wouldn't. The worst. Michael Thomas, that's an interesting one to Green Bay. I would not be opposed to that at all. Devin Funchess. What a throwback name, Kev. That's beautiful. Mitch, give us a taste with the Bills picking up Curtis Samuel today. Do you still think it's going to be wide receiver in the first round? Because a lot of people think that, possibly the Bills put wide receiver later on in the draft, maybe second, third, fourth. Obviously, we don't have a third, so that wouldn't make sense. Second, fourth, fifth, I guess, with 12 picks here. Michael Thomas to Buffalo at veteran minimum. I don't want Michael Thomas on the Bills. I'll be honest with you. I loved him in New Orleans, but after signing Mac Hollins away from the Falcons and now getting Curtis Samuel from the Commanders, I'm okay with vets at receiver. I'm good. You have 3 that are basically, you got a solid 3. That's all I want. I want to get younger, and I want to get Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, we got Diggs,
I don't want to get Mike Williams. I don't want those guys. I want young guys. It would be nice, like for a Chase Young, but obviously he's gonna get way too much on the market. He's taking the old school approach to free agency, Mike, where he's going on visits to teams.
Okay.
So we'll see. I think he's got a visit set up with the Panthers, the Saints, and the Titans so far. So, some more Buffalo Bills signings that we didn't get to. Deion Dawkins with the extension. I know he had Bills Twitter and you in a trance. Huh?
He had me for a second, and then the second one when he started talking about ranch, I'm like, all right, F you, Deion. What the hell are you doing to me here, guy?
That's
giving
funny.
me a freaking heart attack.
That's funny. No, you see, I already knew he was a troll. From the moment we met him.
He's the funnest guy on the team, man.
He's a guy that goofs off, and he wanted to make his mark, and he sure did. Signed a 3-year, $60.5 million extension. Now, I love Dawkins, I really do. He needs to get better against the top of the league, because if he holds that block for 1 second longer, the Bills are possibly in the Super Bowl. It's on him. I know I don't want to blame one player for the loss, and I don't at the end of the day. But on that play, it's Deion Dawkins that gets pushed into Josh. And I get it. You're up against the best. You're up against Chris Jones. I need you to step up in those moments. So I'm hoping with this extension, maybe
the whole team last year seemed worn out the entire year. Like they just did not have their heads in the game. And hopefully
I think they thought
happen this year. They got a little inside their own heads or something,
I think they thought that it was going to be easy. I think they went into this year knowing that the year before they were the favorite and everybody had them, and they're like, okay, we're going to get them. They're not talking about us. We're going to get them. And then they went in with the wrong mindset would be the way that I think of it. I'm not in the locker room. I can't tell you those kinds of things. But that's how I felt watching the Bills. They struggled against far worse teams, far worse. And then obviously all the releases last week, right? Tre'Davious White, no longer a Bill. Jordan Poyer. Who am I missing? Deontay Hardy, whatever, go away.
Can he sign now even though he's a post-June release?
Tre'Davious?
Yeah. Even it's been
That's a good
announced.
question.
I'm curious.
I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
Because I don't think he can. I think technically he's still under contract for
They-
till June. So
I got to admit, Mike, I lied to you at one point a couple minutes ago when I told you I don't want vets at wide receiver. There's one vet I would not be opposed to who was released today, which is Odell Beckham Jr.
oh wow,
Was released from
I didn't
Baltimore.
realize he was released.
I'd be okay with him. Anybody else, I don't want.
He signed a multi-year deal too, didn't he?
He did,
So
yes.
that's interesting. That's interesting that they released him.
Mitch says unless they're thinking safety with Kinchins, he's thinking wide receiver at 28. AD Mitchell or Coleman are my guys. Brian Thomas Jr. If he's there, I think he's getting taken at 28 by Buffalo. I'm expecting a move up. I don't know if it's going to be in the first round, if it's going to be in the second round, if they're going to move back to get a third, whatever. I'm expecting a move up at some point from the Buffalo Bills. There's just way too many picks. If you draft 12 guys in April, they're not going to make the team.
Yeah, we kind of got. I don't know how much we're gonna be able to move up though, because we kind of got screwed over on that compensatory pick. For,
Yeah, we got screwed on Tremaine Edmonds. 100%.
Edmonds.
100%. That's BS. NFL BS. I call you. Let's get back on the Bills signings here. David Edwards got the extension. The Bills lost Mitch Morse, who signed with the Jags, and McGovern is moving to center. If you guys don't know about that, that's the plan. Is the line going to be as good as it was last year at the end of the day? No, it will not be, especially at the beginning of the year. It's going to take some getting used to with McGovern snapping to Allen. And with Edwards getting the start at guard, it's going to be a little different. But let's hope that it gets a little better. And we don't know what the Bills are going to do in the draft. Ebenezer re-signs a 2-year deal worth up to $20 million. I'm going to be honest, Mike, I don't like the money.
I was going to say, I think the money is a little extensive.
But in terms of, you look at the other edge rushers around the league, they got a lot more. So at that point, I get it. I thought he was going to take a little less to come back to Buffalo. But at the end of the day, I'm happy they brought back one of the two, that being Ebenezer or Floyd. Daquan Jones comes back. That one was an interesting one. 2 years, 16. Again, kind of wanted it to be a little lower, but
10.5 fully guaranteed.
That's a lot.
And he can make up to $18 million depending on his incentives.
They signed Morrow from the Eagles away. Morrow, good presence. As a backup, he called plays for Philadelphia in 12 games last year. Cam Lewis, Taylor Rapp.
That's almost like a depth signing.
Yeah, he's a depth
there. He's and may not even possibly make the team. So
depth guy for sure. We touched on a little bit about Miami moves here. They also grabbed Shaq Barrett, Jordan Brooks, a couple linebackers, Jordan Poyer, Saran Neal, Kendall Fuller signed today, Anthony Walker. Who says here? Your dad says he can sign right away. He says, I think it's disgusting that we have to release Trey White because of 2 injuries. He's a true Buffalo Bill, and I'm pissed off. I mean, Uncle Mickey, you have every right, to be angry with the Buffalo Bills. But at the end of the day, after tearing your ACL and then an Achilles injury back-to-back, only playing, I think, maybe 4 games in between,
yep.
He's not going to be the same player. We all want him to be. We all want him to be this generational guy. And in a different world, maybe that's what's happening in a parallel universe.
And he
Earth
wasn't.
2.
And especially with 2. So you could already see when he came back right before the injury that the mental aspect of his ACL was there.
And Tre'Davious was never a guy that was hurt. So when he tore his ACL, that mental was hard on him. That was harder than the physical, it seemed.
Yep,
and then having it happen again.
And then right then, just his reaction, he's gonna be hard coming back from the mental aspect. I do wish him the absolute best wherever he ends up signing, but I can't agree with. I didn't want to release him either, but I agree with it. We need the cap space.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the Bills were $40 million over the cap.
I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but Rasul Douglas, he did very well in his spot. So I think that's a viable replacement.
Now, Mitch and Mickey are still going at it. I think we're going to need to get them some boxing gloves.
We might need to end the live soon so they can stop. Is this a Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight? Come on, guys.
By the way, that stuff you shared earlier, that was fake. I guarantee.
Of course it was. Which one? About the
all the handicaps.
Okay. Yeah.
Mitch says there's no need to draft edge again. We need to stop wasting picks on D-line. Now, Mitch, I wish I could agree with you here. I really wish I could. But at the end of the day, they do need another edge guy. They really do. I don't think it's early. I don't think that's the way to go about it. But at the end of the day, what is it? You got Vaughn, you got Rousseau, you got Epineza.
Yeah, I'd
Is
say
Shaq
like
going to come back? I don't know. I
second
think you
or
need
third.
one.
Second or third round pick though, maybe. Not,
I'm even later. I'm
or
fourth.
later.
I'm fifth. That's where
You
I'm
can
at.
you can
in
get
terms
a
of edge
decent
rusher.
you can get a decent edge rusher in the later
Kevin
rounds.
says, sucks that Trey is getting cut. He was my favorite player, but 2 major leg injuries back to back. Very hard for anyone to come back from. Cap situation didn't help either. Yeah. At the end of the day, if the Bills had cap, he might not have gotten cut. He might have gotten restructured. But at the end of the day, that's what happens. That's how the cookie crumbles, as Bruce Nolan would say.
Or next guy up, right?
New England Patriots. Jacoby Brissett back in town. Yes, Mike, he's still in the league. 1 year, $8 million deal. This is a good signing, honestly, just because he's solid.
Isn't he like 40?
No.
I mean, he's
still young.
I feel like he's been in the league for 17 years.
It's just because you've seen him on so many teams that you
yeah,
think he's
fair
old.
enough.
He is only 31. He's almost 10 years younger than you.
Yeah, almost. Thanks for reminding me, guy.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
They also
it.
signed Antonio Gibson. Kendrick Bourne got a big contract. That was stupid, New England, I'll be honest with you. Austin Hooper, Hunter Henry. The Patriots made a lot of moves, but none of them are scary in any kind of way. Agreed?
No, these feel like almost all filler. They feel like just fillers to fill out the 90-man roster. I mean, I don't. They are talk about full on rebuild. These guys are straight back to the bottom where they belonged for the and had been from the early 90s until Tom Brady.
You both know football. Mitch, you know football in a way that's different from the way that Mickey knows football. You guys have different mindsets. I don't think edge in the first round makes any sense because you just paid Epineza, Rousseau's still on a rookie deal, and Vaughn's still going to play meaningful snaps. In the first round, if you go edge rusher, I will break something. It's not going to be Mike's TV. It's not going to be Mike's remote. It's not going to be anything expensive of Mike's. But I will break something. I promise. I swear to God.
You're pretty natural and good at that anyway, so I don't.
I'll break a mirror with my face. But anyway, the Jets made some moves. Tyrod. I love Tyrod Taylor. I do. He ended the drought for us. I bought his jersey. He was a good guy, and I want to root for him, but I can't. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't do it when you're with the Jets. Just can't. Not any big moves for them anywhere else other than Javon Kinlaw to a 1-year deal. We talked a little bit about the Ravens. They brought back Aguilar as well. Bengals. T. Higgins, Mike, received the franchise tag, but reportedly asked for a trade.
Yeah, I heard, and I've also heard a lot of people courting Buffalo, if you will, to try to get him.
No. We can't afford a $20 million a year wide receiver.
And that's exactly what my argument was. We can't afford the guy. He'd have to be a trade, and is he worth that money? Yeah, probably, but we can't afford it. Plain and simple, we can't afford it.
Uncle Mickey
just like we can't afford to release Diggs, okay?
Uncle Mickey and Mitch are having a battle. Mitch, you don't have to fight. You don't have to argue. At the end of the day, you guys both look at it differently, and that's okay. What the KellyCast was created for was these debates. Friendly debates. It's okay. You've seen me on Built in Buffalo before.
We need nobody to get butthurt. I love the conversation.
Yeah, I love the conversation too. I love reading it. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to disagree. That's fine. Kevin was about to ask if the Jets did anything because I know he's a big Jets fan. Kevin with Aaron Rodgers over there.
2023 Super Bowl champs, huh? Did we miss something?
Yeah,
Did we jump timelines again?
He's watching The Flash. It's okay.
Damn it, Barry.
Run, Barry, run. All right, the Cleveland Browns. We already mentioned the trade for Jerry Jeudy. They haven't done a lot more. Signs Zadarius Smith to a 2-year deal. And Jameis Winston. They did not offer Joe Flacco a contract. I want to say, man.
I heard they were in talks.
I heard that too. You and me were rooting on the Browns when Deshaun Watson was not on the field. We both were. We both thought it was a good story. What a Browns move to do. Like, you should have at least talked to Joe. You should have offered him a contract. I understand you don't want Deshaun, but at the end of the day, I don't know what you're going to do. You're pretty much in cap hell over the next 2 to 3 seasons with Deshaun Watson. So hopefully,
Is it only 2 to 3 seasons?
with guaranteed money, I think so.
Because
Hey, the Broncos just released Russell Wilson, paid 85 in dead cap. Deshaun might be the new version of that. He might get released and they might owe him 70,000.
I would love for that to happen. I would love it.
We talked a little bit about Pittsburgh with Russell Wilson, Patrick Queen. They got Dante Jackson from the Panthers. Haven't made a lot of moves. Where's McFly? That's funny. We talked about the Texans. The Colts are the ones who signed Joe Flacco. Great signing. Great signing for the Indianapolis Colts, who have Anthony Richardson coming back from an injury, a young guy who needs veteran leadership. This is one of the most underrated signings I've seen so far. Michael Pittman, 3 years, $70 million. That's good. And then they re-signed their own. They're Bills-esque. Grover Stewart, Zaire Franklin, Kenny Moore, Ronnie Harrison, all their own. So you'll love to see it.
Yeah, promote within, right?
Yeah, Jags.
Believe in the guys you have.
Jags becoming the Bills with Gabe Davis.
Can someone help me explain the Mac Jones trade though? It just doesn't.
What do you need to know?
It doesn't make sense. Why would they even want the kid? He's not that good. Is he? Do you think he's a good backup for Trevor? Because he's certainly not going to start over Lawrence.
I think he's a good backup. If I was ranking backups in the league and you're talking Mac Jones, it's a guy who has starter experience. It's a guy who played at Alabama. And at the end of the day, if Trevor goes down, is Mac going to win you games? Maybe not, but is he going to lose you games? I don't think so. I don't think he's a guy who really will cost you the moment. So I don't hate the move, especially for a 6. At the end of the day, that's nothing. You know what I mean? For a viable backup there. Also signed an extension with Ezra Cleveland, Josh Allen franchise tag. That's what happened, Mike. Gabe Davis and Mitch Morse loved Josh Allen so much that they had to go play with him again. But the other version.
the opposite side of the ball.
Yeah.
That's smart to tag him if they couldn't come to a deal.
100%. He had 17 sacks last year.
I mean,
another former Bill signed by them, by the way, Ronald Darby. Surprised he's still in the league as well.
Wow, yeah. I forgot about him. Holy
Tennessee Titans. Can we talk about losers in free agency? The Tennessee Titans paid Calvin Ridley a 4-year, $92 million contract.
You think Pollard actually believes that team is going to go somewhere or just went there for the money, man?
I don't know.
Because I don't see that team. He must see something that I don't, because I don't see that team going very far.
I saw Calvin Ridley do really good the first 8 weeks of the season and disappear for the final 8. So the fact that you're willing to pay him $92 million, what it tells me, Mike, is that the Jags were offering a lot and the Patriots were offering a lot, because those were the teams that were reported to get Calvin Ridley. And then all of a sudden you see that he signed with the Titans. So the Titans must have just upped the offer by $10 million or something and decided, hey, I want the money. Also signed Mason Rudolph, which is interesting because, I don't know if he's the move. You already have a backup quarterback in Tennessee.
I mean, at the end of the year, he was a starter for Pittsburgh. He helped Buffalo win that game. So
one of the worst teams in free agency this year, the Denver Broncos, paying $85 to Russell Wilson and doing nothing. So
they can't do anything. They're I mean, I thought we were in cap hell. But.
Yeah, no. There's a couple teams that have it worse. Kansas City Chiefs got Irv Smith Jr., good young tight end. They're going to know how to use him. Re-signed Chris Jones, huge. Drew Tranquill re-signs, huge. L'Jarius Sneed on the franchise tag. Reportedly a trade piece. We'll see. If he gets traded, that's huge. Deion Bush brought in, and Matt Ariza. Kansas City, don't know how they have any money, honestly. Really don't.
I don't know either. And of
Mahomes
course,
restructured again.
They haven't
like
picked
Josh.
up any notable wide receivers or anything like that. So
Kevin says Tennessee.
That just means they're going to burn the rest of the league down and be the first to do a three-peat.
Kevin says Tennessee has no state income tax. Pollard definitely went there for the money. We love that, Kevin. Thanks for the research. The Las Vegas Raiders, they've always been big spenders, haven't they, in free agency, and This year was no different. Christian Wilkins, Josh Allen's friend.
Arch nemesis.
I was going to say a different word, but I don't think we can say that on YouTube.
Maybe not.
It rhymes with, is there a word that rhymes with that?
I don't know. Because I'm not sure what word you're thinking
It rhymes
of,
with Snape. We can't say that on YouTube. They signed Christian Wilkins.
His Snapist.
Signed a 4-year, $110 million contract. That's a lot of money for Christian Wilkins. I get it. He's good. I think he's overrated, in my opinion.
I don't think he's $110 million.
84 guaranteed.
84 guaranteed. And
Re-signing Amir Abdullah, not bad.
Uncle Rico might finally get his chance as a starter.
Yeah, until they draft J.J. McCarthy or one of the other quarterbacks in this draft.
Yeah, unless they want him to learn under somebody experienced for the first year.
It's very possible. Gardner Minshew is one of those guys, and it's not the same as Tre'Davious White, but it's similar in the fact that, his career could have been so different.
Yeah, if he wasn't $15 million, I'd sign him as a backup even here in Buffalo. I think he's pretty good as a backup.
Why does Sam Darnold get another opportunity, but Gardner Minshew has had to go from team to team to team? It's garbage. At the end of the day, garbage.
I think Minshew is miles ahead of him.
The Chargers didn't make much moves. Really, the only one of note, Gus Edwards, 2 years, $6.5 million deal. The interesting thing about that goes from one Harbaugh to the other, Baltimore to L.A. So,
keep it all in the family.
Yeah.
Why go across the street when you can go across the hall?
Wasn't Alabama though. Dallas Cowboys. Eric Kendricks comes over. Interesting because he had signed with another team, or agreed to sign with another team. And then turns out Dallas wanted him, and he told the other team to F off and sign with the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm sure they're happy.
It's happened to us, I believe.
It's happened a couple times this free agency. There was a kicker that did it once. I believe it was.
There was one that Beanway, I can't remember. He was furious about.
It was J.D. McKissick.
Because he was furious.
Yeah, and then we drafted James Cook, and at the end of the day, everything was okay.
Yes, sir.
New York Giants. We talked about Brian Burns. They also signed Jalen Mills and former Bills Devin Singletary, Isaiah McKenzie.
You speak about guys that don't belong in the Drew Lock. Why is he still in the league?
Well, Drew Lock was the backup in Seattle last year.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, he played 2 games for the Seahawks, and he looked really good. He looked really good in that system. He almost beat the Eagles. And this is when the Eagles were good. This isn't the Eagles in December when they lost every game.
Okay.
So I think Drew Lock, not to mention, Drew Lock is also very young. You want to talk about Brissett being 31. Let's take a look at Drew Lock here just to confirm, make sure I'm not wrong here. 27 years old. He's still a good player, especially as a backup. This is a good move. He might even fight to start.
Is that who? Yeah, but he was on Denver, didn't he? And then he got traded. Didn't he get traded? Or am I thinking of a different Denver quarterback that had a massive contract?
You're thinking of Osweiler. you know what's great about you coming up with that name is 2 years ago you wouldn't have been able to do that. The fact that you remember Brock Osweiler's name. That's amazing. Congratulations on that. That's sick. I love to hear that. Tennessee screwed up when they fired Mike Vrabel. Yeah, we agree, Uncle Mickey. We were dumbfounded by the Vrabel firing. At the end of the day, I think it was really stupid. But I'm not in the NFL, so. The Eagles have been very busy, Mike. Saquon Barkley was not the only guy they did. Landon Dickerson, their offensive guard, got a 4-year, $84 million extension. Brandon Graham comes back for his 16th year. They just signed Devin White today. Devin White, very good linebacker from Tampa Bay, signed a 1-year deal. They brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who spent 1 year in Detroit. And Jake Elliott, another kicker. Look at that. 4 years, $24 million. One of the best kickers in the league. So, at the end of the day, the fact that you got to pay him.
You got to pay that guy, man. Those sometimes it comes down to a kicker's leg.
And it does. And remember, that's the reason the Eagles beat the Bills. So, moving on to the Commanders, signing Austin Eckler. 2-year deal worth up to $11.4. I love Eckler. He's a touchdown machine. The Commanders have had a running back problem since Alfred Morris, in my book. I know they had Brian Robinson and they had Antonio Gibson, but I don't think they were that good. I think they were
Right.
Overrated. Marcus Mariota signs on a 1-year, $6 million contract. Pretty decent backup. Zach Ertz comes over. They love their old tight ends. They had Logan Thomas. Now they get Zach Ertz.
The older to bury, the sweeter
The other
juice for them.
signings I'm not really huge on.
Not huge. Looks like they tried to do a little bit to their offensive line, a little bit.
Yeah,
but
Tyler Biadasz is a great move because he was the starter in Dallas. He was the center in Dallas. That's a good move, taking him away from a division rival. Frankie Louvu, very good in Carolina, and Bobby Wagner. Can you have a better person to help your young linebacking core than Bobby Wagner? I don't think so. And they got Jeremy Chin. So I really like a lot of the moves the Commanders made, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to Drake May or Jaden Daniels or whoever they end up drafting at number 2. Keenan Allen to Chicago? Are you kidding me? Really, Kev? Keenan Allen.
That would be huge.
Tell me it happened. Tell me it happened. News be breaking while we're live here, Mike. Let's take a look.
What are we doing?
Let's take a look here.
He hasn't changed his X yet.
Take a look at Adam Schefter. Why am I not signed into Twitter anymore? Okay, and
yeah, those were old. Is that a pen?
I have no idea.
Are you messing with me there, Mr. Bartimus?
Uncle Mickey, the Chargers were in the same position as the Bills. They were something like $40 million over the dead cap. But Keenan Allen couldn't have. Was he traded? Because he was a part of the Chargers. He wasn't released. So he must have been traded. Sorry for the silence, guys.
Yep. The Los Angeles Chargers are trading wide receiver Keenan Allen to the Chicago
for a
fourth round pick. Are they out of their mind?
Holy cow. Breaking news, Keenan Allen to Chicago for a 4th round pick. You still want to tell me the Bears are trash, Kev? That's huge. And this is what I said, Kevin, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago even, when you said, oh, if they draft Caleb Williams, they're just giving him the same situation as Justin Fields. This is not the same situation as Justin Fields. You have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett at tight end, DeAndre Swift at running back. It's a completely different team.
I was gonna say if they don't do something at quarterback this year, and he doesn't prove himself, if he can't prove himself with this wide receiver and running back core, then it's absolutely 1,000% time to move on from Justin Fields after this year.
Oh yeah, and I think they'll know. But the problem is, you need to know now. You need to know now what you need to do. That GM is having a hard time. I'm sure it's a discussion. Kevin says the Bears are still trash and always will be trash. I mean, it's a shame you weren't around in '85, Kev, because back then the Packers were trash.
I was only 1, so I don't recall that season. I'm sorry.
Well, it happened. I promise that it happened. Moving on to Detroit, not too many moves. Again, they traded for Carlton Davis. A couple other corners signed, Emmanuel Mosley, Amik Robertson, and then they shored up the offensive line by giving Skipper and Glasgow extensions. Good for them. Detroit's going to be really good again. We already went over the Packers. Vikings, these names just don't do it for me. Brandon Powell. I didn't know they signed Trent Sherfield. That makes me laugh. Trent Sherfield, disappointed in Buffalo, 100%. Quessenberry, another former Bill there. Jonathan Grenard, who I mentioned. Van Ginkel away from Miami. Jerry Tillery, Jonathan Bullard, Blake Cashman, John Parker Romo. Yeah, the only one I like on this list, Mike, is Aaron Jones.
I was going to say they made like 2 good moves. Maybe even, Quessenberry a little bit, but good. Yeah, this is clear signs of a full-on rebuild.
I know it's called X, Uncle Mickey. I'm with the times, but Twitter is a way better name for it.
We all still call it Twitter, and
it's like
nobody likes X.
If Facebook changed today to be called something else, we'd still call it Facebook. So the Falcons signed Ray McLeod. I didn't know that. That's an interesting move, taking him away from San Francisco. Darnell Mooney, a trade for Rondale Moore. Not too much, but obviously their big golden goose, Kirk Cousins right there. We talked about him at length. Carolina Panthers. The trade for Deontay Johnson was interesting, for sure. Traded away Dante Jackson, which hurts a little bit, but it's an interesting pairing. Bryce Young here with Deontay Johnson. I'm excited to see it. Haven't done a lot more. They did sign Dane Jackson to a contract that is a lot bigger than I thought Dane Jackson was going to get.
And
14 and a half.
And a guy that a jersey that I recently acquired when he played with Detroit, Ashawn Robinson, got
That's
a nice
big
massive deal.
Hey, Sean.
Got a pretty good deal. He got that bag that bag of tricks in his pocket.
You want to talk about a team that's strapped. The New Orleans Saints re-signed Demario Davis, agreed to a deal with Willie Gay, and Tyrann Mathieu returns on a 2-year deal. They're hurting. The New Orleans Saints not going to be competitive for at least another year or two until they're able to get their cap situation under control. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What does Uncle Mickey say? Keep Justin Fields, trade down, and look up on draft picks. I want to be on Justin Fields' side, but at the end of the day, I can't be. I'm on the Caleb Williams train.
I don't mind what he's saying though. Keep him for the year, and then see if you can't get a little bit of production out of him, so you can get some extra value. Load up on draft picks.
This quarterback class is so good. You cannot just not miss on somebody and wait for next year. What if Caleb Williams is C.J. Stroud? You already didn't get C.J. Stroud last year. You know what I mean?
What if?
Yeah,
what
if wishes were fishes, right? But it's a hard thing to come by. And if you keep Justin Fields, you have to pay him. That's why you don't want to do it. If you keep Justin Fields, let's say Justin Fields has a breakout year, MVP candidate. Let's go crazy, right?
Okay.
That contract going to be huge. You want to franchise tag Justin Fields for $42 million?
No, I want to use that one good year that he's had for trade bait.
Okay.
And get myself a quarterback that I can believe in, that can work with the rest of this team that I'm building.
Uncle Mickey, I don't think no matter what they do in the draft, or if they take Caleb Williams, or if they start Justin Fields, I think that division belongs to the Detroit Lions at the end of the day. I think it's a race for second place. So moving on, though, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they got Baker back. I read a tweet the other day on Baker that said no matter what happened in free agency, he was staying in Tampa Bay. He wasn't even looking at any other teams. Him and his wife are due a daughter here in April, and he already decided that he was staying. So he got a 3-year deal, $100 million. Interesting, because remember Daniel Jones' deal last year?
Yep.
No team is doing that again. Baker got less than what Daniel Jones got. So
and rightfully so. I mean,
yeah, no, this is a good deal for both sides.
He's still taking it. He's still taking a chance on the guy. I mean, he did redeem himself.
He did very well.
And a guy I rooted for all year. So yeah, good for him on getting a little bit of a nice contract for himself. And I hope that he can continue to prove himself this year.
Re-signing Mike Evans, huge. 2-year, $52 million. Did not expect that. Jordan Whitehead, Antoine Winfield receives the tag. Very good. Moving on to the Cardinals. I don't see a single name that I want to talk about on this list. Do you know any of these players, Mike? Where did DJ Dallas play last year, Mike?
Other than Desmond Ridder? No.
Where did DJ Dallas play last?
Couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you a name on this list, to be honest. Other than Desmond Ridder.
That's bad. That's very bad.
He's the newest one. I couldn't.
Do better, Cardinals. Do better. Moving on to the Rams, we got Colby Parkinson from the Seahawks coming over. Jonah Jackson from the Lions. That was huge. They did a lot on the offensive line. And then Darius Williams comes back over. 49ers, what do we got? Leonard Floyd obviously signed away from the Bills. He always has chased the money. And good for him. You know, at the end of the day, he's a really good pass rusher. Your Gross
and he's joined a solid defensive core to be good.
A defensive line that is the best in football.
So
even maybe without Chase Young, who is a free agent, still yet to sign. Seattle Seahawks. Leonard Williams comes back 3 years, $64.5. Sam Howell acquired. Noah Fant re-signs. Nothing too crazy. And that's going to do it for right now. Any more moves, stay up to date on the KellyCast, on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on TikTok, obviously. Not so much anymore, but Facebook and YouTube is where you can find the most up-to-date stuff for myself and for Mike. We want to thank you guys for coming out, especially the boys who are always here. This is Mike. I'm Dan. We appreciated coming out to you today. We'll be back as more moves come on. And as always, give them a go Bills.
Go Bills.
Keep an eye out for the mock draft with me and Mitch coming soon, and we'll see you next time.